Good morning. We are going to start off lesson 5.1c by reviewing what do we know about graphing. Well, a couple things we do know in our brain here, this is our brain, is that from this equation, we know that is slope-intercept form because this is our slope and b is our y-intercept. So that is our y-intercept where we cross the y-axis. We also know about our x-intercept, which is where we cross the x-axis. We haven't talked about that in a while. We mostly talk about just the y-intercept. We know our slope is the letter m, and we count our slope by doing rise over run. So how many do you count up and down, and then how many left and right? So maybe you count up 3 and over 2 or something like that. So using our slope and our y-intercept, we can graph this type of equation, y equals mx plus b. We also learned about tables towards the beginning of this chapter. We made xy tables to graph, and we plugged some numbers in for x, like -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, and we plugged them into our equation to get y. So we learned how to graph using a table, but now we've mostly been just using y equals mx plus b. So the last thing here is domain. Domain is what we plugged into our table, which is really our x values or our x's. So we learned a lot of information. The biggest thing that we need to point out here is this is b, our y-intercept, or where we cross the y-axis. And then another thing we need to quick review is our slopes. Some of you are counting a slope like 3 over 1, and you're counting on a graph, for example, up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 1 this way. That would be a negative slope, like our slope man's eye here. We want instead be a positive slope this way, because this is a positive number. So keep those things in mind as we move forward. Today we are continuing to graph y equals mx plus b as a review. So this first equation is in the form of y equals mx plus b, so I'm going to write that right underneath. And I know that if there's nothing in front of the x, that really is the number 1. So my m, my slope, you can write slope here if you want, how we move, is 1, or as a fraction, 1 over 1, because slope is always rise over run. And then b is always added or subtracted to the end. This b is -4. So b tells us where to begin on our graph. So we're going to begin on our y-axis. Like I said, b, begin on our y-axis. We're beginning at -4, so we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and put a point there. And then our slope is rise over run. You can write that out if you need to. Rise over run. How many are you going up and down, and then how many left and right? Like our elevator. You got to take your elevator up and down first before you can get out. So ours is 1 over 1, so up 1, and over 1, up 1. Positive 1 is to the right, that's why we're going to the right first. Up and right. And we could also go down and left, down and left, down and left. And then draw your line through. And make sure to put arrows on the ends to show that the line could go on if we had more graph. So let's look at the next one. This one is not in the form y equals mx plus b, so we need to get the y here all by itself. It needs to say y equals. So to move this whole piece over, the whole thing is a negative, so we need to do the opposite and add 2x. A couple people have been getting confused and want to divide because they think it's multiplied here, which it is, but that would only move the 2, not the x. We want to move the whole thing. So it's subtracted this whole thing, we need to add it. So -2x and a positive 2x make 0. And we have y equals 2x and then -5. We did not combine these together because one has an x and one does not. So this is now in the form y equals mx plus b. So b is a negative 5 right there on the end. I don't know why I did that one first. And m is 2, or as a fraction, 2 over 1. So begin at negative 5 on our y-axis. It's our y-intercept, beginning at down 5, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then our slope, rise over run, up 2, 1, 2. Positive 1 is to the right. So again, up 2 over 1 because our slope is 2. Continue over and over and over again, up 2, 1 to the right, up 2, 1 to the right. Should form a nice straight line. We could also go, instead of up and right, we could go down 2 and 1 to the left. Double check to make sure that your slope is positive. Slope man would be walking uphill here, and that's correct because this is a positive slope. I'm going to put my arrows on the end, and I'm done. This next one, same thing. We need to get y all by itself. So here is my letter y. I need to leave that there and move this to the other side. So right now this is a positive 3x. So to move it to the other side, the opposite of adding 3x would be subtracting 3x. So those eliminate, and we have 4y equals, and then negative 3x plus 24. And then same thing here. To get rid of this 4, this is multiplied, just like over here. Oh, not like that one. We didn't do it like this yet. The opposite of multiplying by 4 would be dividing by 4, because I only want to move the 4. So those eliminate, and we get y equals. 3 divided by 4 would give me a decimal if I plug that in my calculator, so I'm just going to leave it as a fraction, 3 over 4x, plus 24 divided by 4, so I could plug that in my calculator, or know that 4 times 6 is 24. So here's my equation. It's in the form y equals mx plus b. So I know m is negative 3 over 4, and b is 6. So let's go down to graph this one. We're beginning at 6 on our y-axis, so up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and put a point there. That's where we begin. And then m is how we move, rise over run. But this is a negative 3, so I'm not going up, I'm really going down. And then positive 4 is still to the right, because positive numbers are this way. So first, from this point, we're going down 3, down 1, 2, 3, and 4 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a dot. And down 1, 2, 3 again, and over 1, 2, 3. Oh, can't do it. So my only 2 points I can plot are those 2 right there. If my graph was a little bit bigger, I could plot 1 more point. So we did one where it solved for y, one where we had to move the x, and one with 2 steps solving for y in this third problem. Let's flip over to the back side. We have 2 problems very similar to this. The first one, they give us a table though. So this one, oh, I made a mistake here. This is 3. These should be multiples of 3. Yours might already have it on there. I think I made the mistake last year to switch it. So this should say negative 6, negative 3, 0, 3, and 6. So this goes back to what we did at the beginning of chapter 4. We took our x values and we plugged them in for x into our equation to get our y values, and then we just plotted our points, x and y. So if we want to do this way, we need to plug these numbers in for x. So x is negative 6. So in my calculator, I'm going to take my equation, which is 2/3, and I'm going to multiply it by negative 6, because that's what x is, and then subtract 3. I'm going to show you how to plug that right into your calculator. So here's my equation. Let's move this down just a little bit. Here's my equation, 2/3 times -6 and then minus 3. I know it's multiplied because these two are touching. The 2/3 is next to the x. So first I'm going to plug in 2/3. Since it's a fraction, I need to put it in parentheses. 2 divided by 3. That's how I got the 2/3. You could put a times there. If you don't, that's okay, because your calculator will know when two parentheses are touching that it will be multiplied. You don't need the parentheses around the 6 though, since it's technically negative. And then I'm going to subtract 3. And my calculator gives me the answer, -7. So my y, what I got out, because this is all equal to y, is -7. I'm going to do the same thing for the next number, -3. We have 2/3 times -3, and then minus 3. All I did was take x and plug in what x is equal to, -3. So in my calculator, I'm going to plug in 2/3, again, 2 divided by 3 in parentheses, times this time a -3, and then minus 3. This time I got -5. Then I'm going to plug in a 0. 2/3 times x, which is 0, and minus 3. So again, 2 divided by 3 times 0. I don't really need that parentheses around the number 0. Oops. Minus 3 is -3. And that makes sense, because anything times 0 is really just 0. Our answer is -3. Some of you can see that our pattern is going down by 2s, or up by 2s. So next, 7, 5, 3, up 2 more would be -1. Up 2 more from -1 would be +1. If you're not sure, let's plug it in our calculator. 2/3 times 3, and then minus 3. All I did was take this again, 2/3 times 3, and then minus 3. And we get -1. Yep, that one's correct. Same thing, 2/3 times 6, and then minus 3. We get a +1. So we did this correctly. Now all I need to do with these points is plot them. This is really the point x comma y, like this. So x is -6. I'm going to go -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on my x-axis. This is my x-axis. And then -7 is down 7 all the way at the bottom. So that's that first point. Then we have the point -3, -5. X is -3, 1, 2, 3, and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have the point 0, -3. X is 0. We didn't go left or right, because remember this is negatives. These are positives. 0's in the middle. 0 and down 1, 2, 3, right there. Then we have 3, -1. So x is 3 to the right, and -1 is down 1. And then finally 6, 1. 6 to the right. This was 3, 4, 5, 6, and a +1. So this is a graph that we created by using a table. If you wanted to use the form y equals mx plus b, let's check to see if we did it right. We begin at -3. Yep, 1, 2, 3, we did. And our slope is rise 2, run 3. Up 2, 1, 2, and over 1, 2, 3. Yep, up 2 and over 1, 2, 3. We did it right. So that's just a way to double check using a table or the equation. These last two, we are going to go back to using the form or the equation y equals mx plus b again. So we need to get y all by itself. So to leave this y here, we need to move the x over to the other side. Right now it's a -4x, so we need to do the opposite of what we see and add 4x. So -4 and +4 make 0. We have 2y equals, And we can't combine them because one has an x and one doesn't. 4x minus 12. And then last, the opposite of multiplying by 2 is divide by 2. Those eliminate. Remember to divide everything by 2. A couple people have been forgetting. Every single thing gets divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2x. And negative 12 divided by 2, half of 12 is 6. So now by looking at our equation, we know m is 2, or as a fraction, 2 over 1. And b is not just 6, it's negative 6. So graphing this, b tells you where to begin. We're beginning on our y-axis at negative 6, 5, 6. And then m tells me how to move rise over run, always, unless it's a negative, then we go down. So this one's positive, up 2, 1 to the right, up 2, 1 to the right, up 2, 1 to the right. And that's it. So draw our line through it. Last one, I would suggest trying this on your own and then click play to see if you got it right. We need to get y by itself here. That negative goes with the 3. This negative goes with this 3. So to move this negative 3x, we need to do the opposite of subtracting 3x, which is adding 3x. So those eliminate, and we have negative 3y. And then we have 3x and a minus 9. We wrote those separately because we cannot combine them together. The x's were positive and the 9 was negative. And then last, we just want to get rid of the 3. So this is multiplied. We need to divide by negative 3. So those eliminate. We have y equals. We know this is a negative. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so 1x. Again, two negatives here make a positive. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So in this equation, m is negative 1, or as a fraction, over 1, and b is positive 3. So we're going to begin at positive 3. 1, 2, 3 on my y-axis. And my slope is negative 1 over 1. So negative 1 meaning I'm not going up, I'm going down. My elevator's going down 1. And then 1 to the right, because positive numbers are to the right. Down 1, 1 to the right. What I mean by positive numbers is the denominator is positive. So we're going to the right. Down and right. Down and right. Or instead of going down and right, we could go up and left. Up 1, left 1. And draw the line through. Don't forget the arrows on the end. And you're done. Please make sure to check your work and show me before you come up and grab your homework. Don't forget to enter your homework in your Notes app so you don't forget to do it when you get home.